Welcome to Potpourri, everyone. I'm your host for today, Brandon Berry, and we have a guest here today, Mr. Ryan Dunn.
Yes.
Nice to have you with us here today, Mr.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, and Mr. Dunn, I understand that you are the director for Next Generation Youth.
Yes,
Correct?
Next Generation Youth is a mentoring program right here off Hollywood Parkway, formerly known as Bank Ed. It's a community service idea that we have there where we teach them life skills. A lot of the probation officers from juvenile court, they come to us for their kids that have probationary requirements, and instead of putting them to work, I actually like to teach them life skills, some preventive methods to go, so they don't end up back in the same situations again.
Absolutely, and when do you facilitate these different trainings or meetings with the youth?
Sure, we facilitate our programs on Saturdays between 10 and 2. It's actually the Attic Food Bank.
Okay.
So between the hours of 10 and 2, we're just doing our life skills, we're doing activities, we're doing our highs and lows for the week, just kind of checking the temperature of how everybody's week has been. And then after that, we just kind of go into just a hard group mentoring session where we kind of talk about everybody's problems, kind of a transparent environment, if you will.
Absolutely. So when you say you talk about the different experiences, do you go one by one, or how do you exactly facilitate the different sessions?
Well, it has a good energy spin-off where everybody we know where everybody is from the highs and lows. The highs and lows just kind of is putting the good part of your week out there, and it's kind of highlighting the bad part of your week, because working with young adults, I like them to know how to identify what's good about the week and what's bad, and from that, some things are surfaced where a dialogue will ensue towards the mentors who are in the room, and we'll just discuss our way of approaching certain situations and certain challenges that they face. So it's kind of hit or miss on the actual order of how it goes, right. But everybody usually has an opportunity to say something and chime in.
Okay, absolutely. And are there parents involved? What exactly do the parents do? Or are there different things that you talk to the parents about, or inform them on what they should be doing for their children to make sure?
Sure. Well, we encourage all of the parents to be a part of the program. We know that during the week is their time to kind of put in the hustle and bustle, and the Saturdays are kind of for them. But we do encourage them to sit down with us, because it's nothing that goes on there that we can't say in front of the parent. And then, of course, when we put them back in those environments, if the parent doesn't know how to deal with certain challenges, it kind of makes those certain things kind of resurface. So we encourage the parents to sit there and role play and dialogue with their child, or with other mentees in the room, so that they too can learn, or be in a learning exercise.
What's the success rate with that you've gotten feedback from different parents, or even some of the youth that have come back and just let them know?
Sure. Well, they all have been individual success stories. One young lady was getting in trouble for fighting all the time. She just did not know how to deal with being assertive. She was always aggressive. So we had a testimony about 2 weeks ago with her telling us that she hadn't been in any fights for the past couple of months, and she feels as though the program helped turn her life around in a sense. As far as parents, we've helped a few parents do resume writing, because a lot of our parents are without resources that we really need to be productive citizens here in society. So we like to offer them certain programmatic things where they can kind of keep up with job searches and applying for things that they could be, that they would qualify for.
Right, absolutely. And what's usually like not necessarily a classroom, because I know it's held at a food bank, correct?
Sure.
So what are usually the most amount of students or youth that are there in attendance?
Participation. Participation and attendance, we're up to averaging about 20 kids per week, starting out with just about 5 or 6. Again, these are just relationships I had with juvenile court probation officers. So when I told them the lane I was traveling in now within youth development, they were excited about being able to send some of their consumers to me, so they can kind of learn, ways to win the game, if you will. But we've gotten up to now to about 30, 35 kids and about 15 mentors. So we were about 40, 50 people in a room on a Saturday, just all, getting it in, teaching these, youth the way of the world that we know.
Okay. And where, other than juvenile officers and things like that, where are some of the different avenues that you receive youth from? Whatever the case may be, for community service?
Sure. Well, through where I work as a mental health counselor as well. So some of the kids there that I work with, or young adults as I would call them, sometimes they don't have very severe problems after they receive therapy after a while, but they still are in need of a mentor. So I allow them to be a part of the program as well, just to continue to form that hub for them to be just receiving services and different resources that I'll be able to engage them with. And also, is other portals, like for instance, APS in Fulton County, they have to have 75 hours for graduation, serving in the community. So because we are a 501c3 nonprofit, we're able to sign off on some of those hours.
Okay.
So if they get a form from school, whether they're freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, we can go ahead and start signing off on those hours right away for them to get those knocked out for graduation.
Okay, that's cool. You know, I don't know if I don't think I asked, but do you have any that come in without any parents, or that come from foster homes or things like that?
Sure. We have, believe it or not, we've been gaining a lot of traction in the community lately because it is at a food bank. So we have heard of people just hearing about us just through friends in the neighborhood or just through classrooms and their peers attending. So they show up. I do think because it is at a food bank, we are able to reach a different population because our communities are somewhat underserved and low income based. So they do hear that it's at a food bank, and because of that, they are able to come by the food bank and maybe obtain a box of food and get a good life skills lesson for that day.
Or are there different type of activities and stuff for the children to, outside of on Saturday, that you guys put together for them to get together and know one another and help develop each other?
Sure.
Life skills.
Yeah, sure. We are actually in the process now of developing an after-school program, which would turn into a summer program because the school is about to end. But just more opportunity for them to engage with each other and learn more social skills, because a lot of the kids that we deal with, or young adults again, they don't know how to interact with one another without it boiling over into something they're not intending for it to. So back and forth dialogue, role playing, and just, you know, social conversation is something that we are real big on activity-wise outside of the program, because you got to be able to know how to socialize with people of all backgrounds and facets. So that's important to us.
Absolutely, no, and that's something that I definitely agree with. They have to know how to interact with one another,
Sure.
so they can make sure that they're getting, you know, peer criticism or whatever the case may be,
Sure.
just to know how to interact in the outside world. So, because today is really becoming a difficult time for a lot of our youth, and not having the developmental skills or life skills that they should obtain from home or school or whatever the case may be. So, it's great that this is something that's definitely in place. And are there other avenues outside of Saturday, say, throughout the week, for them to eat? Because I know you all, that's, you know, a big part of what you all do is donating food.
Certainly. The food bank that we're at, is like a hand-to-hand collaboration. They get a nice sum of in-kind donations throughout the year. So because they're at a centrally located position on this street in the 30318, which happens to be the most populated area with kids and adults that are on probation. So that means that adds to the low-income, underserved community aspect of it. So all of the schools in the area that are near the food bank, the kids that leave school, they leave and go by the food bank, because it's still a grassroots level food bank. They're not asking you to come sign up and then we send it to you. We'll have to call you back. You go right up to the door and knock on the door as a young adult or adolescent. If you need some food, they're provided there for you, because that's what they're there for, to give. So you'll see two shopping carts pushed beside the street right where the food bank is. And as the kids get out of school, say Best Academy, which is the only all-male school in APS, they walk by, one cart has some drinks in it or some sodas, the other cart may have some sandwiches or some chips, and they head on home because, you know, they're after school, they're kind of hungry, and they may or may not have food at home. Statistics have proven that our attendance rate has gone up in schools on Fridays and Mondays, because kids know that leaving school on Friday, they may not eat for 2 days, so they kind of maybe stuff it in on Fridays, and then Monday they may not have eaten the whole weekend. So of course they're in school then trying to get that first meal in after 2 days.
No, I just think it's really.
Hold on 1 second. Let me get you straight, because this came out. Back here a little bit more. Trying to hold that there. All right, cool. Perfect. All right, there you go. All right, let's 3, 2, 1. Just pick up where you left off.
Yeah, so I just think it's tough for students to or youth to really have to scrounge for food, you know. So it's definitely great that they have an avenue like that, you know, such as next generation youth, to definitely make sure they are fed and find different ways to really fend them for themselves if they have to, if they don't have a parent in the household. And so I think that's definitely awesome that they have that. How exactly do you go about outside of or what are your promotion or your marketing strategies as far as just making it grow as an organization?
Well, honestly, lately I haven't been doing a lot of marketing because it's become such a hot topic inside the juvenile court system. They have a lot of, like I said, it's the most populated area of kids that are on probation. So juvenile court alone sends enough kids for us to kind of, continue to do programming. But outside of that, I also work, like I said, as a one-on-one counselor doing behavior specialist work, behavior modification, intensive intervention. So that's always opportunity to not only reach out to the consumers that I work with, but other contractors that work with the agency to see if they have kids that, would qualify for being in the mentoring program, just having that mentor. Because ever since I've been in mentoring and with, kids somewhat dying over it, just having severe trauma over it, I feel as though everybody should have a mentor. So since the last, few years, even before this program, I just consumed the idea that everybody should mentor somebody.
Absolutely.
Just for that aspect of it.
And you do have instructors that individually mentor people outside of reading on Saturdays?
Yes, I usually make it a very transparent environment, just talking about any and everything. Of course, sometimes the kids are bashful about the fact that they were truant for so many months, or you steal cars so often, and they kind of back away from wanting to say it out loud. But I feel as though if you don't want to say it out loud, you shouldn't have done it. But at the end of the day, everybody doesn't always just put their problems out there in a group setting, and that's fine. So throughout their day, I let them know that if it's something that's going on with you that you would like maybe some one-on-one time, or just somebody to kind of just be that connection with you, then we align that as well. I don't want anybody to go out, leaving feeling as though that they didn't get their feelings expressed. And sometimes that doesn't happen in a group setting. So we do have professionals there as well, other counselors like myself that can kind of bring that one-on-one into fruition so that they'll be more comfortable about that situation.
No, absolutely. That's awesome. And I definitely, just to piggyback off of everyone needing a mentor, I didn't necessarily have a lot of different struggles per se growing up, but even in the success that I want for myself and things like that, I definitely agree that no matter whether you're having bad problems, good problems, whatever the case may be, that you definitely need a mentor, someone that can guide you to the next steps in your life. So that's definitely awesome that you have that. What's usually, and I guess you kind of answered it for me, I was going to say, how receptive are the students to receiving that guidance from people?
Sure. Well, they've been pretty receptive because we've been able to incentivize a lot of it. Where we're at now, talking about generationally, we don't get the same respect as adults as we would have back some years ago when we were a little younger. We have to kind of earn it in a sense, and that's fine because whatever we have to do to meet them where they're at, we'll do. So we find out that they like things like Braves games. Of course, I have connections there. Hawks games, I have connections there, and other venues that they've never been to. Granted, a lot of them haven't been outside of 285, which is unfortunate. So once we have corralled some list of places that we can take them to and create an incentive sheet or accountability sheet, if you will, on if they pass what we ask them to pass or act appropriately when we ask them to, then we kind of give them certain tickets to appreciate these events together or with their family members.
That's good.
So that's worked out pretty fine. Okay.
Do you usually have some of the students that come back and do that? And
oh yeah. After the probationary requirements are finished, community service hours, we encourage them to continue to be a part of the program because we want them to be the peer group leaders inside the group so that we don't have to lay down the law every time we get new people in. The peer group will be the ones who kind of keep things under control.
That's good. And before we go, we just want to ask for some contact information just so anyone else that's out there to get involved.
Sure. Sure. Our address is 829 Hollywood Road. That's Atlanta, Georgia, 30318. Again, that is right across the street from Best Academy inside of a warehouse-like building, which is a food bank. And we're there every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
All right. Thank you so much for coming out with us today.
No problem.
And we hope to have you back again soon with us.
Sure.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
We'll be back with more Potpourri after these messages.
Packers. Vikings. Packers. Vikings. Vikings.
Red state, blue state, vegan,
Carnivore.
We come from different places.
Uptown.
downtown,
Optimist.
We come to different conclusions.
Half empty.
half full.
But when we live united, we create real, lasting change in the building blocks of life. The education, income, and health of our communities,
Live
our families,
united.
even the person next to us.
Live united.
Real change won't happen without you. So give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Sign up at liveunited.org.
Oh, those boys are much too much. Those boys are much too much. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We're gonna beat them and bust them. Be
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Let's get a little bit rowdy. R-O-W-D-Y.
Take time to be a dad today. Call or visit fatherhood.gov to learn more.
Welcome back to Potpourri. Again, I'm your host, Brandon Berry, and we have another special guest with us here today, Miss Adriane Farley. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing awesome today.
Good.
You know, weather's nice, so we're just having a great day, thinking happy thoughts.
Oh,
So
yes.
Have a good day, okay?
You always have to have great thoughts.
Absolutely. So we're just going to talk about you a little bit today, okay?
Okay.
All right, and we just want to get into what your organization is, and
Okay.
overall, I know your organization is called We Can Do All Things Incorporated.
That's correct.
And what does that consist of? Tell us a little bit about that.
We Can Do All Things is the overall parent company that we have. We have several programs that's up under that umbrella. We have
Okay.
Diamond Girls Are Forever. We have our internet show, Youth on the Move, as well as Victims to Victorious Anti-Bullying Campaign.
Okay.
And what we mainly focus on is Diamond Girls Are Forever and Youth on the Move. And we try to take each focus one step at a time.
Okay.
Diamond Girls is actually a mentoring program for girls ages 11 through 19 years old.
Okay.
And we are right now in a couple of the middle schools in Rockdale County where we go out, talk to the girls about self-esteem, healthy behaviors, creating those healthy behaviors, making positive decisions, the importance of education. Because a lot of times when they're in middle school, they're right there in the middle, right before they go to high school. And it's like they're still trying to find out who they are and trying to find a definition of how to be a woman. So what I do is come in and we do different activities, a lot of community activities, because I want them to see how blessed they are, to see how others have it a little bit harder than they do. So Diamond Girls is more like, you're a diamond, you're beautiful. You're supposed to shine. You know, as a woman, we have these features. We've been blessed with such grace, and I want them to shine with that. Be thankful that God has created you to be such a beautiful young lady at such an early age. So we want to build that so when they go off to high school and college, then they have that mindset as, I am beautiful. I do have a worth. I am great. You know, greatness is inside of me.
That's awesome. You know, just hearing about it, you know, that excites me to, you know, especially for women.
Yes.
And with the type of creatures that women are, they have to be specially catered and nurtured to in the development of being a woman. And before we get any further in that, I just kind of want to know how it started, how you became the creator of We Can Do All Things.
Well, it started back in 2005. I was living in North Carolina at the time. And, you know, God told me to start a mentoring program. I was like, I don't want to work with no kids. At the time, I didn't have any kids. I wasn't married. So it was like, I just want to be me. I want to be a young adult. But as time went on, I moved from North Carolina with my job. Then I moved to Chicago, lived in Chicago about a year. Then I end up back in ATL where it all begins. And I started really watching our young ladies, how they dress, how they're talking, how they present themselves, how they're representing themselves. And I said, no. Because I know when I was out there doing certain things that the type of attention I attracted wasn't always positive attention. It was always that, well, why does he treat me this way? Or why do people look at me a certain way? Or why am I not receptive in certain areas of life? So I had to take a step back and look at me. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, we got to make some changes. We got to really talk to these girls. Because a lot of times, if a girl is dealing with low self-esteem and a young, nice-looking man come talk to her, she don't really know it might be game. You know, you know how it go. You know. So it's like she may not necessarily know that he is sincere about his approach. He might be trying to get something from her. So when I see these girls dressing provocative, they're trying to show everything, I let them know you don't have to show. A real man doesn't want his woman showing everything. Absolutely. He want that especially when you're married, he want that for himself. So if all his friends see what he has, then really, I mean, what's the value in him having you? Because everybody has seen you. So when I got started, I started with several organizations before I actually started on my own. I would just volunteer with different organizations that dealt with young girls because I wanted to know how to facilitate. I wanted to know what target girls I wanted to go after. And as the years went on and progressed, you know, I was blessed with a lot of different people. I was able to, you know, work with different legislators, you know, in Clayton County, and now even up to now working here in Metro Atlanta and Rockdale. So it was a building process when I first started. It wasn't something I was like, yeah, I want to do, but my passion grew as the years went over, because I saw how our girls were falling to the wayside, which ties into why our males don't necessarily fall to the wayside as well, because I think if we can kind of raise the standards of a female, the men would come up, because then they'll see that the women won't be so easy to deal with their mess.
Absolutely, and it just sounds like the basis of it, especially for the women, is loving yourself.
Yes.
And with loving yourself, I believe that no one else can love you unless you love you.
Exactly.
So if you don't love you, then you're not going to be treated with the way that you would want to be treated, and knowing your self-worth.
Right.
And that's with the women, you know, just being submissive in the wrong ways to a young guy.
Exactly.
That they really have to understand.
Right.
So that's
Right.
something that's awesome. Now, is diamonds for girls, correct?
Diamond girls are forever.
Diamond girls are forever. Excuse me.
No, that's okay.
Is that the only one? Is every program for all girls, or is it just that one?
Just that one.
specifically?
It's just that one. Youth on the Move is an internet show that the girls in Rockdale wanted to start. They wanted to create a platform for girls and boys to be able to speak, say things, talk about different issues. So we did our first show March the 22nd with Dr. Adriane Tart.
Day after my birthday.
Okay, happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
With Dr. Adriane Tart. He came on as a child psychologist and relationship expert, and he came on the show, and it was such a fun time. I mean, the kids were there. We shot at Mary Mac's Tea Room, and they allowed us to come in there, and it's like they talked about relationships. The girls brought the questions. They didn't have any shame, because they wanted to know from a man, why do I experience certain things when I want a boyfriend? Or how do I know how far to let a man court me? Or why, you know, how should I react when a young man want to cross a boundary? And it was such a powerful show. It was so much fun that we actually got, This Is It, the barbecue company.
Okay.
They want us to come to one of their restaurants and shoot the show. So we looking to shoot a second show, and the next one is about gangs and bullying. I always try to find topics for girls and boys. Victims to Victorious campaign for girls and boys, because you have the bullying now again on the rise in the school system, in the communities, in the homes. So we want to address every issue with girls and boys, but Diamond Girls is specifically for our young ladies, where they can come, they can dump, they can release, and we can try to find resources to help them move further along in their life.
Absolutely. What exactly are the age ranges? Are they the same for each program, or does each one consist of a different age range?
Diamond Girls is 11 to 19.
Okay.
And Youth on the Move is all ages, because we want to get different perspectives. I think if we have young adults that come back and be able to pour into the kids, I think that sets a great platform, because as you're an older adult, a lot of times kids don't want to hear what you have to say. It's almost like the Snoopy, wah wah, wah wah, but if they can hear it from somebody that's not too far off in age from them and has some type of experience, then it's like they're more receptive to it. So I open it up to everybody. I even open it up to the parents, because I want you to sit and I want you to listen to what's out there, because we talk to our children and we try to pour into our children, but not necessarily hear our children.
Exactly.
You know, they talk to us, but we don't hear them. So we want them to be able to come to, ask questions, get resources, so we can help you not only in your home, but in your community as well.
That's good. And what are is it a program where you have to register for, and is it with a certain time period, or do you just stay into it in the program until you're out of the age range? How long does
Diamond
that
Girls
consist
is
of?
register. You have to
Okay.
register for Diamond Girls. With Youth on the Move, no, and Victims to Victorious, it's more of an open platform for those two. If you want to come to the taping, you're welcome to come to the taping. When we're having events, you're more than welcome to come to the events. But Diamond Girls is ongoing. But of course, we want you to register. And once they go into high school, we register them again, because see, now you're no longer middle school. My target is middle school girls.
Okay.
And what I want to do with the 18, 17, 18, 19-year-olds is bring them back as ambassadors. They're diamond ambassadors, because they're in high school now.
Yeah.
And they could come back and tell these middle school girls, what you're doing, that's not going to work when you get in high school. You don't want to act like that. You don't want to dress like that. So I say high school per se, not so much pouring, but pouring, because they get to pour back as we get to pour into them.
Exactly.
And it keeps them positive. It keeps them busy. It keeps them looking like, wait a minute, I want my standards to be high. I don't want to always be like this. I want to surround myself with like-minded girls that are doing positive things in the community.
Do you have workshops as far as dressing and even etiquette and when you're eating, you know, all of those different things? I feel help development in ways that you don't know, because that, in the sense of just etiquette and learning how to eat,
Right.
your standards and your morals and everything else
Yes.
really, you know, elevate. And that, so do you have those different type of workshops for them too?
Yes, we do. We actually are developing, especially for the new school year coming up. We want to take the girls outside of their environments, because some of the girls have not left their environment. So for an example, when we went to Mary Mac's Tea Room, a lot of my girls, it was like a culture shock, because they were like, I've never been to such a great restaurant before. But when they actually had the experience, they want more. They want more of that. So we do different workshops with etiquette. We do workshops with building self-esteem. We do workshops with building healthy relationships, you know, and everything, because that way, if you keep them doing something, it'll always keep their minds going. They're always thinking like, wow, I remember when I did this activity, or this guest came on and this is what he or she said. It always stay engraved in their minds, and that's what we want to do with these workshops.
Absolutely, that's awesome. I just can't stress enough, especially because I have younger, you know, siblings that are sisters.
Right.
And that's one thing that I want them to know is self-worth and what they should expect from a man and those different things, because at the end of the day, it says in the Bible, because I know that's what we can do all things. And
Yes.
a man that findeth a good wife findeth a good thing.
Absolutely.
So that's something that you set the standard for who your male component is. So
Yes.
that's awesome. And I wish we could really get more in depth with some of the different things that the program entails.
Yes.
But you know, we're running short on time on
That's
today.
fine.
And,
I'll come back.
It's fine.
I
But
will
just,
always come back.
You know, before we leave, we just want to know some information on how to get some more young girls involved with the program.
Sure.
And making sure that they get those same developmental skills that every woman and even males should receive. So.
Okay. Of course, my name is Adriane Farley. You can reach me at 404-447-3319. Our website is www.wecandoallthingsinc.com. You can always email us at diamondgirlsforever@gmail.com. Just email me, call me. If you want a workshop, you want to do something with girls, we want to partner, do some events, they're more than welcome to call me. I look forward to the calls.
Okay, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you
out
for
with us
having
today.
me. You're a wonderful host.
Thank you, I appreciate it. You're a wonderful guest.
Thank
And
you.
I'd love to have you back again just to get
Yes.
more information
More,
on your
most
program.
definitely. I'll be back.
We would like to thank you for tuning in to Potpourri. Again, I'm your host, Brandon Berry, and we'll see you next time.